A reading from the letter of Paul to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, you are not in the flesh. On the contrary, you are in the Spirit, if only the Spirit of God dwells in you. Whoever does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to him. If the Spirit of the one who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, the one who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also, through his Spirit that dwells in you. Consequently, brothers and sisters, we are not debtors to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. The word of the Lord.
Our second reading for this Sunday is taken from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. We have been reflecting on the ways of peace according to Jesus, according to God. In the first reading, we see how God's ways are not our ways, and our thoughts are not God's thoughts. Through the prophet Zechariah, the Messiah King was already prophesied, who will have a vast dominion, who will restore peace through justice. But he will do that in meekness and humility. From the standards of the world, it's quite impossible that this king would succeed. It is quite impossible for this king to have no weapon but a heart that is meek and humble. How could that win against the mighty armies of the world? But this is the anointed one of God. In the second reading, St. Paul talks about Jesus Christ, and we Christians profess that the anointed one, promised from of old, has come in the person of Jesus. St. Paul reminds the followers of Christ that we are not supposed to be living and thinking according to the norms of the world. The way St. Paul presents this is by using the biblical image of flesh and spirit. As disciples of Christ, we should be living by the Spirit of Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. For it is the Holy Spirit that was the principle, as it were, the divine principle that made the Son of God become incarnate in the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It is the same Holy Spirit that anointed Jesus in his baptism and throughout his mission. It is the same Holy Spirit that restored Jesus to life in the resurrection. It is this same Spirit that will give us life, according to St. Paul. But maybe he noticed during his time, as we notice during our time, many people choose to live by the spirit of the world, by the flesh. And so our efforts, and in this particular reflection, our efforts to restore peace and justice in the world, according to St. Paul, should not be dictated by the flesh, by the spirit of the world, but by the Holy Spirit of Jesus Christ. St. Paul even says, you do not owe anything to the flesh. Why are you, in a way, obedient to the flesh? Why are you, as it were, paying to the world, paying to the flesh, as though you owe a lot to the flesh? No. If ever we owe a debt of gratitude only to God, the God who has offered salvation, liberation, and new life in Jesus Christ. So, the lesson is very clear. If in the first reading we were surprised at how God's ways are quite different from the ways of the world, especially in terms of kingdoms and dominating kingdoms and how to restore peace in the world, now, the fundamental principle is provided by the second reading. Those who promote peace in the ways of Christ must check themselves. Are we operating by the Holy Spirit that Jesus gave to us? Or are we still beholden to the flesh and the dictates of the world? I am appealing to all of us here, especially those who are involved in human development and the cause of peace and in the integrity of creation. Please, let us discern the mind and will of God. Let us obey the Spirit of Jesus Christ. Without that, our efforts will amount to nothing, and the kingdom that will arise will not last. Let us live by the Spirit of Jesus Christ.